सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we started with Karika number 6 but didn't do much of it, so today we will devote most of the time on Karika number 6. So let's chant it. Prabhavav sarva bhavanam satamiti vinishchayaha sarvam janayati pranaha cheto amshun purushav prithak. So in the English translation, it says, it is an established fact that the origination is only for those beings which are extinct, which are existent, not extinct. Prana creates everything. Purusha, conscious beings, creates conscious beings distinctly. So let me see if Swami Akhandananda has a Hindi translation which is the same or slightly different. So yeah, that's what I was just looking for. In the Swami Paramarthananda's, the first part of the explanation is pretty much the same between them. Prabhavav sarva bhavanam satamiti vinishchayaha sarvam janayati pranaha. Where there is a slight difference, and I was also a little unsure about the exact meaning that Swami Paramarthananda had given, and so that's why I just looked it up one more time. Cheto amshus purusham prithak. It's not a big difference, but in a way it's a big difference. And that is, Swami Paramarthananda's translation says, Purusha creates the conscious beings distinctly. So this goes against, I think, the main direction of the number 6, that there is no real creation. We will take it up a little bit more detail today, So we saw that it was really just a manifestation, an expression of something which is already there. That's what the first part of the verse says. Prabhavah sarva bhavanam satam iti vinishchayaha. Means that the Prabhava is already there. There's nothing new that just created. So now if we say the Purusha now creates the distinction, I think it is not the correct way to do it. Instead, Swami Bakhandananda says, I'll just say I'll do the Hindi of the whole thing first, and then I will translate that into English. विद्यमान सभी पदार्थों की उत्पत्ति होती है, ऐसा विद्वानों का निश्चय है। बीज रूप प्राण ही सबको उत्पन्न करता है और चेतन पुरुष चिदाभास रूप जीव को अंतःकरण भेद से पृथक पृथक प्रकट करता है। प्रकट करता है। There is no creation. So, but prakat karna means it expresses itself. It is the same thing before, but because of the expression of the antakarana, we will go into this in more detail. I'm just giving you the sentence meaning. It is really more of an expression rather than a creation. There is no real creation. I think this is a much more cohesive and much more truthful interpretation in my view. Anyway, okay. So now let's look at what the tenor of this is. What is the sense of it? So I think I would like to also repeat and reiterate something that I had requested at the very beginning of this Mandukya Karika course, if you recall, is that one of the goals that we should have, both you and I should have, is to make sure that we can, first of all, understand the unique and the true nature of Vedanta. What is Vedanta saying? What is distinct about it? What is the Lakshana? Lakshana means something which is not there in any other place. Just like you are also a very distinct person. There's no one like you. Similarly, Vedanta is a very distinct entity. And as we can describe you, we can describe your unique identity in some manner. Name, connection, daughter of son and such, and maybe we can describe your form, age, lineage, all of those kinds of things that makes you unique. Makes you be uniquely identified. Similarly, Vedanta also has a unique identity that needs to be understood and therefore described. And I think, I'm not sure whether that is a very minimum thing. Whether the identity with Parameshwara becomes clear, only Parameshwara knows. We don't know. I hope it will be clear, but we don't know. That's a kind of like a final goal. But I think that you should be able to articulate, and not just articulate without understanding, but you should really understand that fully. So you don't say that, Vedanta, this book says, Vedanta says. No, not like that. It's what do you say? And if you haven't really understood it, let's try to do it. And then we articulate it. And so even through these classes, at a very minimum, I would like you to, and if you want to send me your version of what it is, I'll be happy to critique it for you. Let's do that if you want to. Because one of the things I'm somewhat empty on, we really don't have much of a question-answer dialogue. I teach a class and I see a few people that are attending, and there's hardly any questions, nothing of substance. So it just means that you have completely understood everything I've said, which is nice, but I'm not sure. Or that you don't know, you haven't absorbed anything, and therefore you don't know what questions to ask. So that leaves me somewhat empty, quite frankly, honestly. I don't know what else to do other than meeting from time to time. But the true question answers, I think, I would very much like, I'm sorry to criticize anybody. I don't want to do that. I don't see any substantive questions from you. And if you want to just do it separately on an email, do it on an email. It doesn't matter to me. Because I'm moving ahead with a kind of creating an overall vision. And I'm not sure that I'm successful in making you see it. And so I do have a kind of an empty feeling sometimes. Anyway, what I want to say is that at a very minimum, you should have a very good understanding of the tenets of Vedanta. What are the tenets of Vedanta? And perhaps one of these days I need to sort of write it all down maybe in some booklet form so that you can see it. But then this is what I'm teaching all in all. So you should be able to gather bits and pieces here and gather and collect it for yourself so that you have a pretty complete idea of what Vedanta is saying. So, and so it all has to really make interconnecting sense, every piece of it. That's when the overall vision will become very clear. So let's start with one of them now, which I have already said that a few times, but in the view of today's lesson also, it becomes very relevant. And that is that the uniqueness of Vedanta is that our view of ourselves, of the world, and of God, or three things, is totally erroneous. Number one. And the way to gain freedom, moksha, is to understand where I am making a mistake. Nothing else, as we will see later. Today also itself we will see. These are the number one and two tenets of Vedanta. So, one thing you might do is to pretend that if somebody is asking you these things, then that'll be even better. But supposing everybody's busy and they're not asking you what you're doing, you pretend that there's somebody asking you, what is Vedanta? Please explain it to me. And then you ask yourself a question, and then you write down the answers. Here's what it is. And practice it. So you're ready with it. An elevator pitch. This is important for you to summarize and articulate what I would consider to be the basic tenets, T-E-N-E-T-S, tenets of Vedanta. All right, so let's continue on with where we were in the last class. All right, so one thing that I had said was that starting with Karika number 6, going on to number 7, 8, and 9, these 4 deal with the question of creation, right? So this has to be understood. And so this is what is called Utpatti Vichara. Utpatti Vichara. And this is what would be called advanced Vedanta. Advanced Vedanta in the sense that initially you may say the opposite, and the Shastra does say the opposite, that there is a creation. The world is created. In fact, in the Brahma Sutra also, the second verse is Janmadi Yasya Yataha. Right? There are 4 sutras, which are, of course, the most advanced Vedanta one can think of, and I hope that we can take it up one of these days. And so, Athato Brahma Jigyasa is the first one. We have done that, all these 4 of them. The second one is Janmadi Yasya Yataha. One where all the births and deaths are contained. So it is a creation. There is a birth, there is a death. But that is a very fundamental, elementary Vedanta. The real understanding of the non-creation of that is kept at a higher level. So essentially it means that even though we talk about creation, there is no real creation. There is an apparent creation, but no real creation. So we'll go into a lot of details of that. What is the difference between real creation, what is apparent creation? All of that will come, which will form as the tenets of Vedanta. But be that as it may, these 4 Karikas are really dealing with the subject of Utpatti. Utpatti Vichara. It's the analysis of so-called creation. And in doing so, very interestingly enough, as I said, this is a summary of something which is going to be taken up in much more detail later on in the Karikas. And I don't know how much time we will have to cover all those. But for now, even these 4 verses summarize the basic tenets of Utpatti very well. And in doing so, it points out the uniqueness of Vedanta with respect to other possibilities. It looks at other possibilities also. So this is what is called Vyatireka Bhavana. Vyatireka Bhavana means that it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. And then there is a positive bhavana, Anvaya Bhavana, which means this is what it is. So both are important. I will cover that in more detail later on. So in these 4 verses it talks about, and in fact we will summarize it even today in this particular verse, and then expand it more in the next 4 shlokas. So we'll do that. Alright, here is another basic tenet of Vedanta that we should be very clear about. Just like we talked about the first one, that the whole thing is a mistake, and the only way to correct it is to understand what the mistake is. Because until I understand the mistake, I take it for what it is. What am I supposed to do? I take it for as I see it. But somebody has to explain what the mistake is. So that's the first time. Here, now let's look at some other important tenets. So now let's look at it. So so look at this carefully. In the entire Jagat, Vishwa, entire cosmos, there is no real creation. So please write it down. That's another important tenet. There's no, Vedanta says there is no creation. It always has been, is, and will be. Always. That is the nature of Paramatma, Parameshwara, Ishvara, God, Jagat. Everything always has been, and everything always will be. Then what about at least the appearance of the creation? What about that? Yes. So the appearance of creation means that the entire cosmos, which never began, you cannot ask the question, how did it begin? Because it never began. Never began. There's no question of beginning, because beginning means that it is under the supervision of time. Time becomes primary and the beginning becomes secondary. There's no time. Even time is part of this apparent creation. So the cosmos, the reality of the cosmos is it is beyond time. It is beyond space, beyond differences, as we will see. So there is no real creation in the whole Jagat. Then what? There is simply a unmanifestation and manifestation of it. And you see this phenomena of unmanifestation and manifestation in various forms. Like, for example, in the form of a seed of a plant and the expression of the plant. So the entire seed, the entire tree, a huge tree, I don't know if I told you this or not, but no, I think I was mentioning it. That about a few months ago, I discovered that the biggest oak tree that we have is dying, and its branches are falling off. And so I've had some arborists to come in and give me an opinion, and we have not been able to. And it's now been determined that it cannot be salvaged. You cannot water it more. It has outlived itself. It's over than 200 years old. Huge tree. So much so that I think I was telling the satsang with Swami Muktatmanandaji, somewhere there I think I mentioned it, that there is an estimated cost to me to over $20,000 to cut this tree. And I'm in the process of getting all the permits. Huge tree. I mean, the trunk is about, I'm not exaggerating, it's about more than 3 feet, more than a yard at the bottom. This is all. Question is, where did it come from? So it came from a seed that you cannot even see. It is in an unmanifested form. And so this cycle continues. This is the cycle of unmanifestation and manifestation in the seed form. It doesn't, it does not disappear, but it leaves its seeds. Under certain circumstances, if you put enough water and sun and soil, it will sprout up to be this huge tree again. Oh, now all of that is there. It's there, but you cannot see it. As is just given in some of our Upanishads. This example is given where the Guru points out, hey, do you see the seed? Where is it? He says, no, I don't see anything. He says, just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it is not there, because all you need to do is to just germinate it and you will see wondrous things come out. You'll see leaves, trunk, flowers, and in some cases fruits. Amazing. So the whole Srishti is of this form. Unmanifested seed, manifested expression. And I think I mentioned to you in the last class also, this is the same principle in the entire cosmos. There's no real creation. It is simply a manifestation and unmanifestation. We saw in the last class that we go through this process every day and every night. During the night, we become unmanifest. We don't become unmanifest, but the whole world becomes unmanifest to me. And then the whole world springs up again in the morning. Then goes back again. The same thing is true in the form of birth and death. Same thing is true in the case of birth and death. That the expression of the human being, as you and I talking, participating in a class, talking to other people, with family and so on. We are expressed. And then, for whatever, lots of different reasons, our body cannot support us and it collapses. But I don't collapse. In fact, I, as the Atma that blesses everything, of course, there is no question of collapsing. That's a separate issue. But even as a human being, even as a jiva, I don't collapse. I don't terminate. I go into a seed form. And so this is what it said is that really speaking, we should understand there is hardly any difference between sleep and death. The entire process remains the same. And the only difference is that after sleep, your body is still functional. And you come back to it. You can reuse it as part of the expression. And in death, that body has to be discarded because it is no longer useful for whatever reasons, physical reasons. And the seed that you are has to germinate in another body. And that takes a long time. It's a major process. Major process. It's such a beautiful and interesting process to see a young baby, I mean, we were too busy when our own kids were there, but now that we have grandkids, it is so marvelous to see how this baby, which is just come out of the womb of the mother, how it slowly gathers up its information, its body, so what a beautiful thing. It takes a long time. But it happens. So in death and birth also, there is the same seed. So here, going back to this, and I will continue this analysis in 1 minute. In fact, let me finish some of the other aspects, then I will go to it. I'll change my mind. So, this cycle of manifestation and unmanifestation, not of a real creation. If you want to call the germination of a seed into a tree a creation, sure, you can do that. That's not creation. Not creation. It is a natural manifestation. See, there's a slight difference between the creation of a cell phone and the creation of a tree. Right? Because in the case of the cell phone, it has to be assembled by someone. It has to be put together. You have to get the basic ingredients. You have the know-how even to put together. This is what's happening in India. That they are now starting to assemble iPhones in India. Apple is. And that also requires a lot of skill. Not easy. You need machines, you need skillful people. So there's a lot of factors involved. And so this can be seen to be a kind of a creation. That also in the final analysis is not a creation. It is simply an expression of the various factors. That's all it is. But if you want to distinguish it for the time being, do so. But in the case of the creation of the tree, there is no, you don't see a person creating it. But it's a sort of a creation, it's an expression. And that's the most fundamental part of the whole creation, is that it's transformation, or rather retransformation from a seed to a tree, to a seed, to a tree, to a seed. Human being, night to a day, night to a day, death to a birth. And so the only other thing that happens is that in our waking state, as distinct from the dream state, everyone has a different phase of manifestation versus non-manifestation, isn't it? Because you and I in the US go to sleep around the same time, approximately when the sun goes down, whereas those people in India are now waking up. So the phases are all different. In Swapnavastha, everyone in the dream has the same phase. There also you can say, that I planted a tree and funny things happen in the dream, because you don't wait for the tree to grow up over 20 years. It can happen within a matter of seconds. Our mind creates all kinds of wonderful things. But anyway, in terms of phases, everyone in the dream wakes up and goes to sleep at the same time. So this is what is called laya. So laya means where you are asleep. In the case of pralaya, prakarshena laya, which is about 100 billion years, Brahmaji's late day and night. It's about 100, I think so. I'm not sure of that. 100 billion years of day and 100 billion years of complete night. Complete, nothing happens. Everyone is asleep. But even there is no dissolution. There is a dissolving of things, just like in a seed form. So there also, when Brahmaji wakes up and the whole world is expressed, it is from the seed of the previous 100 billion years. All kept in, just like you and I also have a seed at night time. That seed at night time, during Sushupti Avastha, is what is talked about in this verse. So I'll go to that in a minute. But to summarize this basic tenet of Vedanta, you should understand this. If you don't understand it, please ask me questions about it. That's what I'm saying, that we need to have some dialogue. Don't accept exactly as I'm telling you, or don't reject it either. If you have some doubts about it, then write me an email. I would be very happy to. I don't see that. There's a disconnect, as I said before. So, the basic tenet of Vedanta is that whole world, there is no real creation. It always has been. You always have been there, and I have always been there. Always. In various forms, in seeds, expression, seed, expression, lives, always there. Then, just on the side of it, we'll of course go over this very important point later. Does it mean that this sense of samsara, that I am a limited being, will always be there? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I don't like that. It's kind of interesting that I've always been there, although it doesn't make any difference to me because that's all in the past. What difference? I'm more worried about the future. Where am I going? What will happen to me? Am I going to continue like a jiva forever? Because you said there is a seed and a jiva and a seed and a jiva expression, seed and expression. So my death, will I continue on another one? No. Because the moment I realize that I am not an expression of the seed, but I am the Atma in which both the seed and the expression is. I am at a higher level. It's kind of like, it's not a completely appropriate example, but like supposing in the case of, supposing there is a soul for a wave of the ocean. Soul means in the sense that yes, there is some consciousness. Water has some consciousness, and it gets into each of the waves. Each of the waves also enjoys the consciousness and has a memory of who it was in a seed form. So when it dies, that seed of the wave creates another wave. It's the same one. That doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying. It's not a perfect example because every wave has its own personality and it doesn't even know that. It's jada. It is inert. But in the case of human beings, we maintain a certain identity. So this is what sometimes is translated in English as the soul of a person. The soul of a person. You know, this is what we say when a person passes away. May his or her soul rest in peace. Do we say that? What does it really mean? What is the soul of the person? The soul of the person is the seed form, which is maintained. So we have always had a soul to ourselves from the very beginning. There's no beginning. We always had it. I shouldn't even use the word from the very beginning. We've always had a soul. And that soul continues in either a manifest or an unmanifest form forever until. So the soul there is also what would be called Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, the software. Because, we have we are endowed with three kinds of bodies. So we have a Sthula Sharira, we have a Sukshma Sharira, and we have a Karana Sharira. So we have a gross body, a subtle body, and a causal body. So the causal body is the cause of my mistaken identity that I am just a soul. In fact, it's more than that. I am not only a soul, but a soul with a body. That's my mistake. That's the Karana Sharira. Then the body has to be discarded, given up, as we know. But the Sukshma Sharira in the form of seed continues as a soul. So going back to the question, how long am I going to be? Am I going to be like this forever? No. Because the soul also is a mistake. It is part of the mistake. And when that mistake, which is an individual mistake, right? So this is an overall ignorance, and I take a part of it and apply it to myself. And when I apply it to myself, I maintain a separate identity. This is me. I'm a soul. And I suffer through it when I'm giving up the body and I take a new one, I start again. I'm a soul. I'm an individual. I'm an individual. This feeling that I'm the individual is also a part of the mistake. So to answer the question, even though I have always been a jiva, forever, there's no question of what was the beginning. There's no beginning. The whole thing is nothing but just the way it is. But there is an end because I understand after my analysis and my knowledge and my vichara, my thinking, that I am not just a soul. I am the basis of the whole, all the souls. I am the Atma, which is non-different from the Paramatma, which is the basis of, just like I am the very water itself, which is the basis of all the waves, not just myself as a wave. When that happens, I stop this unmanifestation, manifestation, unmanifestation, manifestation. Okay, so this is what happens. Now, here, in this particular verse, a portion of that is pointed out by saying, so let's go to this verse. It says, so prabhavaha sarva bhavanam satam iti vinishchayaha. So prabhavaha means the origination. Yeah, I think that all these English translations are they're not true to what the meaning is. Prabhavaha sarva bhavana. What it means is this. The expression of everything is ascertained to be because of prana. Not a creation. We should even avoid the word creation here. You can use any word, but the problem is that when you use the word creation, immediately our mind has a fixed idea about a creation like, how was it created? So, it is really more of a manifestation. So prabhavaha means the manifestation of everything. As this is, idamasti, this is. Where it is born from, the mother of these expression is by prana. What is prana? So here, Shruti always uses these interchangeable words. What this is saying is that if you go back to the mantra number 6, right? We'll go back to mantra number 5 and 6. Number 5 talks about the element which is there in Sushupti. Yatra suktona kanchana kamam kam, reading that, kamayate. We've already done this. Na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. This is how the definition of Sushupti is. Sushupta sthana eki bhuta pragyana ghanaha eva anandamayaha hi anandabhuk chetho mukha pragyaha iti tritiya pada. Pragya was the tritiya pada. Right? We saw that. So we saw that the my nature in Sushupti Avastha is Pragya. And please make a note of it. We had already made this point earlier, but I want to point this out. That unlike the previous states where only a single mantra was used to describe a state, in the Sushupti Avastha there are two mantras, number 6 and number 7. Number 5 and number 6. Number 5 is the one I just said, na supto kanchana kamam kayate, etc. Pragyaha iti tritiya pada, the third step. Number 6 says, to describe it further, eshaha sarveshwaraha, eshaha sarvagyaha, eshaha antaryami, eshaha yonihi, sarvasya prabhavav apyayau hi bhutana. It is very significant. So pragya means our state when we are fast asleep. That's what pragya means. That same pragya is also sometimes called in the Shruti as prana. This is what the Mahatmas say. It's the same thing. Here the same expression is used, prana and pragya. So now fast forward to shloka number 6. Prabhavaha sarva bhavanam satamiti vinishchayaha sarvam janayati prana. Means sarvam janayati pragya. And this pragya is not an ordinary pragya. This is the seed. This is the seed. Right? This is the seed of, in our case, the human being. It's true for all beings, all living beings. But in the case of the human being, as our expression is, as our class is, between one human being and another, because if there is a cow sitting here, it wouldn't make any sense to her, even though she also goes to sleep at night and goes back into the seed. So the process remains the same, but the understanding is only possible between human beings. So in the case of human beings, the pragyaha is the seed. So just look at this. I go back to my seed form. What is the form of the seed? Eshaha. Eshaha here means, because Esha refers to the previous mantra where it says Pragyaha iti tritiya padaha. Pragyaha. So Esha means this one. This one means it's a pronoun to Pragyaha. This Pragyaha is Sarveshwara. Sarvagyaha Antaryami Yoni Sarvasya Prabhavapyayau hi Bhutana. This is so beautiful, so revealing. Just look at it. That seed form that we go back to every night has all of my information. Everything. Sarveshwaraha. Sarvagyaha. Sarvasya yonihi. It is actually the place where all the information is kept without being visible, just like in the coin of a seed. And my memories, my tendencies, my diseases, my emotional state, everything is all contained in that seed. You don't see it. You know, if my background is like that of let's say, a serial killer. You hear about these. It's just very amazing, honestly. These people, they have killed like dozens of other people. They prey on other women. And they have done it over years. So now consider this serial killer. When he goes to sleep, he's all quiet. Prana is still active. In fact, this is one of the reasons why the word pragyaha and pranaha are interchangeably used, I think. I'm not sure. But the prana is there in the case of this killer. His breathing is still there. His mind is quiet. No, not there anymore. Just a simple. But the moment he comes back, the killing instinct comes back. Now, who else do I kill? I've already killed 18. I need to kill some few more people. Still there. So all the desires, all the problems, it's all there in the seed form. And at a larger level, the same thing is there for Ishvara. Because when pralaya happens, the whole Shrishti is gone. A new Brahmaji, new Vishnu, new people have to be, all the devatas, everything has to be new. But based on what? The seed of the previous creation. Ishvara has nothing to do with it. It's the same Atma which is making is aware of the seed. Same Atma which is aware of the expression of the seed. Same Atma which is aware of the sleep. Same Atma which is aware of the waking. So that doesn't change. But the person goes from one state to the other. The idea being there is no real creation. It's always the same. And so here towards the last one here he says, Chetaha amshun purushaha prithak. Means that all that the seed does is with the help of the reflected consciousness, which is Chidabhasa. I will go into this in more detail sometime. With the expression of the Chit, with the Antakarana, it creates all the Bhedas, all the differences. This is past, this is present, Bheda. This is Jagat, this is me, Bheda. Bheda means differences. So all the differences are created, which is exactly what happens when you have an expression of the seed. So you're just defining the same thing. It is just the process of creating the manifestation of the unmanifested seed. That's all that happens. There is no real creation. So here, so now this becomes. Please remember, this is a basic tenet of Vedanta. You should be able to tell someone, because somebody can say, what is Vedanta's view of creation? And so there we can say that the so-called creation is a manifestation. And yes, there is a Vyavaharika Sat. So, for example, in the case of, let's take a tree. In the tree, the seed also has the same Atma. Doesn't change. The Atma doesn't change. When the seed becomes a sapling, the same Atma is now blessing the growth of the sapling. Same Atma. Atma in the form of is Sat, and an expression of life which is Chit, and a certain level of Ananda depending upon who you are pleasing. It's pleasing to some, not pleasing to others. So there is a degree of Ananda. So this is true for both the seed as well as for the seed, for the tree. So the Ananda doesn't change. I'm sorry, the Atma doesn't change. But there is in fact a change of expression between unmanifest and manifest. You know, I was just looking at this. one can say, one of the question is, who brought me into this life? Well, the obvious answer is my mother and my father. Together, they brought me into this. This is not accurate. What is accurate is I myself I am creating my path. Every time I become unmanifest and I have a chance to manifest again, I gather all of my stored tendencies, my karma, and those seeds then fructify. I as a seed fructify, and I take the help of some what would be called Sahakari Karanam. Sahakari Karanam means accompanying causes, not the main cause, but the accompanying cause means that they are, just like even in the case of, like, say, creating of this cell phone, there is in fact a seed in the form of how do we make one? So the blueprint of making it, that is the real beej, that is the real seed. But then you recruit some other people to make that happen. Are they the real creators? No, they're not the real creators. Because the people who really invented the idea, they're the real creators. Similarly, in the case of the human being, we ourselves are the creators of our destiny, of our next phase of life. And we recruit some Sahakari Karanam, some people to make that happen. Really, I think this is closer to the truth. I recruit a mom and a dad to come together and make me happen. Make me change from my seed form to an expressive form. And I continue that. As our life is evolving, with the help of Ishvara's laws, I continue to now look for. And in the background, Bhagavan is saying, hey, wait. I'm here too. Do you recognize me? You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to change bodies. Nothing. No, I'm very busy. I have to look for my next life, then I have to find another mom and another dad. You don't need to. You don't need to. No, I know I don't understand. I'm just let me do it. Okay. This is what happens. We become the negotiator of our own life. And so to say that my mom and dad created me is not an accurate statement. They were helpers. Sakari Karanam means that they were They were instrumental helpers, yes, but they were helpers for me to create my own path of expression in this life. This is what happens. This is one of the basic tenets of Vedanta, that everyone has always been there. Everybody is just going somewhere, and if they run out of time, they start all over again, and we keep going until the voice of Ishvara in the back and say, hey, wait. You are not a soul. You are something me. You are nothing but me alone. See for yourself. So this is how it happens, and so we will continue with this. We will examine some technical aspects of non-creation. So here Swami Akhandananda in the verse in page number 322 has given a kind of a very technical reason why there cannot be any real creation. It's just a summary. This will be repeated many times. So we will continue to do that. All right, so let me wrap up today's class with this, because we're not done yet. We still have some more things to say about verse shloka number 6. So we will do that next time. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirkamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamidachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. All right, good. Happy some of you attended. Small number, but good. I welcome you. And we will see you hopefully next time. Hari Om.